welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscillia. I'm a Nigerian women's wear designer based in the UK. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to construct and put together a pre-pleated sunray skirt. So this video is kind of connected to my pleat project where I went to Cement Pleat Studio all the way in North London, and they actually showed me how pleats were made by machine and by hand. So if you haven't seen that video already, make sure to go check that out. It's performed really well. It's gotten over 500,000 views in the time frame that it has, which is actually insane. So thank you guys so much for the love, the comments, the likes, the shares, generally the positive energy on that video. Thank you. So if you haven't seen it already, make sure to go check that video out before seeing this one, because in this video I show you how to put the skirt all together, to add a zip, to add a waistband, and just the finished product at the end of the day. So if you want to see how the skirt is made, make sure to keep on watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, share it with your sewing community, and let's get straight into this. So I have all of my materials ready to go. My skirt pieces are already pleated, and that's what the previous video was about. I ended up cutting 2 half circles, which when joined together creates a full circle. I have a separate tutorial where I show you how to cut a full circle skirt in case you're wondering how that works. The good thing about having this pre-pleated is that the hemline is already folded and sewn, so you don't have to think about that at all. You also need a short skirt zip in the matching color, some chalk, your fabric scissors, a ruler, tape measure, as well as some pins. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting right sides together and then deciding on where I want my zip to go. Because I'm right-handed, I want my zip to sit on this side of the skirt so I can easily do it up and down myself. And then I'm going to be putting right sides together of the front and the back of the skirt. Because they are really essentially the same, there is really no front or back panel. You just decide on which side you want to be your front and which side you want to be your back. Now the other side that is not going to have my zip, I'm going to be sewing up close along that side from the beginning all the way till the end. I'm going to be stitching using a normal straight stitch on about 1/2 inch seam allowance, starting from the bottom, working my way to the top. And then when I arrive at the top, I'm going to take this to my overlocker and overlock that seam so I know everything is nice and neat, even on the inside of the skirt. So the next thing I'm going to be working on is cutting out my waistband. I have folded material that is about 11 inches wide and like your full fabric width, so when I cut the waistband, I have it folded on the top edge. My waistband measurement is the same measurement as my waistline. Just remember to add 1 inch to 1/2 inch for your seam allowance when it's time to add your zip on the side. So I'm just squaring that across like so, and then my waistband width is 3.5 inches. I decided on something really nice and wide. You can have yours slimmer if a wide waistband is not really your thing. So once you've decided on the width and you've marked your waistline measurement, you've added your seam allowance, I'm just going in here to draw the chalk line which indicates the bottom of the waistband, and then I'm going to cut this out like so. The great thing about cutting a waistband like this is you know you already have one piece ready to be attached to the waistline of the skirt. Now I'm just putting the wrong sides together so I can see the right side of the fabric. I'm going to add some pins so I have this ready to be attached to the waistline of the skirt. Before sewing in the waistband, I just wanted to quickly say that if you wanted the side seam on the other side where your zip is not sort of sitting to be hidden inside a pleat, when you stitch up that side seam, you have to align 2 pleats on an inside fold, so when it's stitched up together, the seam is tucked away behind a pleat. Just ensure that you add enough seam allowance to give you room to do that. Unlike me, I didn't have that much seam allowance. I only had about 1/2 inch. That's why that side seam looks the way it does. So here I'm just going in to pin in my waistband along the waistline of the skirt. I've pinned in side to side, midpoint to midpoint, And the thing here is you literally have to just stretch out the waistband of the skirt to fit the waistline of your waistband. So once you have all of the pins ready to go, I'm going to be sewing on the side where the pleats are, so that way I can fully see what's going on and I would be able to stretch my pleats as I go along the way. The pleats on top of the skirt are a lot skinnier than the pleats at the bottom because that's the design of the sunray skirt. The pleats kind of get bigger as they go to the bottom of the skirt. So just remember to open those pleats nice and neatly as you sew the waistline of the skirt to the waistband. After doing that, I went ahead to overlock my waistline seam as well as the side seam where my zip is going to sit, so I know I already have that side seam ready to be attached together. I'm just going in here to iron the waistband to relax the fold on top, to relax the stitching where the waistband is joined to the skirt, and just to have a nice smooth finish along the waist of the skirt. So this is what the skirt is looking like. I love the color of this material. It's actually insane. I just bought the entire roll because I love it so much. Next up, I'm going in here to pin in my invisible zip, which is about 12 to 15 inches. And I like to pin it when the seam is open like this because I found it easier to do this way. I have a dedicated tutorial showing how to sew invisible zips into seams. So if this one is not really clear, make sure to check that video out as well. So once I have both sides of the zip tape pinned, I take it to my machine and I'm sewing with a narrow footer which only has one teeth, and this lets me to get really close to the zip edge of my invisible zip. So once I sew downwards on this side like so, I then turn to the other side to attach the other side of the tape to the other side of that side seam where my zip is going to sit. So I'm just making my way to the top, removing pins as I go along, and when I get to the top of the seam, I do my reverse stitch to secure my zip. So this is what that side of the skirt is looking like. I'm just going to close the zip to check that that waist seam actually matches, because that is something I still struggle with till today. But once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and join the open seam below your zip to complete the skirt. I like to always add some pins first before I take this to my machine, and I'm going to sew from the bottom all the way to the top, right up until the point that the zip stops. So sewing on about a 1 centimeter or half an inch seam allowance, I am making my way from the bottom all the way to the end of the seam, and because we've already overlocked this edge, I know once I sew up this particular opening here, the skirt is complete. So this is what the finished piece looks like. The pleats look so gorgeous. It's actually insane. I've gotten a lot of compliments wearing this skirt just to do this shoot to show to you guys. I think it's something that will be really beautiful during Christmas and New Year and the festive season, because it's such a nice sort of green shade, and because the pleats open up nice and freely, it is comfortable to wear as well. If you want a waistband that is thinner, go for that as well. And if you would like to check out Cement Pleat Studio, I'm going to leave their details down below, because it just made creating the skirt a lot easier because the pleats were already created before I went ahead to do the construction. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and until my next video, have a good morning, afternoon and evening wherever you are. Bye.